Welcome to the GameChanger 00100 show. I'm your host, GameChanger. All right, so apparently this said that it's scheduled for 11 p.m., but no, it's supposed to be scheduled for 30 minutes ago, 11 a.m. So I do apologize for that. So the people I see when I see them, I greatly appreciate it. But yes, we are live now. Anyway, we are going to do the TikTok of the day, episode 2. And I found an interesting one for you. I'm going to hop straight into it. All right, give me one moment. Y'all hit that like button.
To know why black men make dating so difficult. They make it.
Hi, I have an answer, and it's simply because they don't have money. So I've been thinking about this a lot as it relates to my personal dating life. A lot of my friends who are black women who are in their late 20s, early 30s, who have been struggling with dating, who prefer to date black men, and have been doing it in comparison to my white peers and some peers outside of like other races, but specifically my white peers, as to why we all went to similar schools. We all went to similar schools. We all have similar educational backgrounds. We all work similar jobs. For bar, we would say we would live very similar lives, except I just oscillate in primarily black spaces and they oscillate in primarily white spaces. Um, with that said, I think it's because white people, but specifically white also men, are raised in the way that they have generational wealth, but a generational wealth mindset, meaning that they saw their parents get paired off and married, within their 20s. They have grandma's ring and heirlooms. They have a house that they know that they will inherit. They have a mindset knowing that even if they lose their job at Goldman Sachs or in tech or whatever, that they have this sort of privilege that they know that they'll always be fine and they know that they'll always be able to take care of their family. So even though they're in build mode, they're not necessarily worried that they would lose everything. And I think that mindset is different for black men, meaning that they spend a lot of their 20s and even in their early 30s really trying to play a game of like financial catch up, really trying to get themselves established. And because they're playing that game,
Okay, nothing she has answered thus far, hit the like button, explains why dating is difficult. I'm going to repeat that. Nothing in her answer will explain why dating is difficult. I used to be a black man in my 20s, and I could tell you that I didn't walk around looming with the fact that, oh, white guys work at Goldman Sachs. And first of all, there's this idealized version of white guys, that they all just happen to be upper middle class or greater, and they all work at Goldman Sachs or in tech. Like, take it from a black man who work in tech. It is a disproportionately low amount of white dudes in tech. Now it's a disproportionately high amount of Asian guys in tech. But for being like 66% of the country's population, they're not 66% of the people who work in tech, not by a long shot. In fact, when I was at university for tech, white guys qualified for minority projects because they were actually considered a minority in the field. Food for thought. But that's what you see. When you see a white guy, even if he's in his Starbucks barista uniform, you imagine him working in tech. You actually imagine him working at Goldman Sachs. But setting that aside, lack of generational wealth did not stop your grandparents from dating, your great grandparents from dating, your great great grandparents from dating, ever since emancipation. So you got to ask yourself if something, first of all, the question alone assumes that it's difficult to date a black man. It doesn't seem difficult for any other race of women, but it's difficult for black women for whatever. The question is, why is it difficult for Black women to date Black men? And it's not money, because Black men without money date, even though you don't know about them or care. And yeah, in fact, Black men with money date, and white women with money date, and white women without money date, and Asian women with money date, and Asian women without money date, and white men with money date, and white men without money date. Who don't date? Hmm. Who don't date? But we're going to get into that. Hit the like button.
Game. They play games in other areas, meaning that they don't necessarily take things seriously in terms of getting married, having kids, buying a home, starting family.
Now, this is interesting because the question wasn't about getting married. The question that the woman in the beginning asked wasn't, why don't Black men marry? The question was, why don't Black men date? And I'm going to replay the video in a moment. Why don't Black men date? Or why is it so hard to date Black men? And she brought up marriage. Now, that's a good point. So, people typically date before they get married. However, if you have these preconceived notions of what Black men's intentions are, and they're not good, then it would be more difficult for him to date you. That's why there's difficulties in Black men dating. It's you and your preconceived notions of Black men. Now, if they were to have preconceived notions about you, let's not go there.
Because those things require money, and if you don't have it, they're not necessarily going to I guess just take those things seriously. And again, I was just really thinking as to like why I'm in my late 20s. A lot of my friends are in their late 20s to early 30s, and we're still like dating and on dating apps and dealing with games and all the shenanigans that come with dating Black men. But then when I look at the Jennies, the Tiffany's, and the whatevers of the world, a lot of them who I have worked with or work with, why they all, ironically enough, got engaged all at 27, 28, around the same time. And it felt kind of like sorority like, very systematic. And again, it's that peer.
It is sorority. It is systematic. They created a system to marry their daughters off and their friends off. It is a system that you are not a part of, and nor that you created for yourself. You see, while every other group of women encourage marriage, if something happens in a relationship, a white girl can go to her girlfriends and says, and tell her how to work it out. Same with Asian and Hispanic girls. Black women, oh no, you need to leave that man. He left the toilet seat up. That means he gonna beat the kids. You need to leave him. You see how that works? They're part of a community that encourage marriage. You're part of a community that teaches young women that they don't need a man. So maybe that's why they marry at 27. Also, they're not part of a community that says white don't crack. They're not part of a community that says, that where they think that a 40-year-old is the same as a 20-year-old. White community didn't need a Kevin Samuels to teach them about that dating becomes more complicated when things get older, when they get older. They don't live in such a delusion, so they don't waste time. They actually are looking for a man while they are in university, not trying to climb the corporate ladder and then hoping that there will be a man there once you reach a certain dollar amount and hoping that that man makes that certain dollar amount. So yes, it is a culture. It is a sorority.
influence around them. If they see all their friends doing the things, and this goes for men too, they're going to go do those things as well. If they saw their parents do it, they're going to go do it as well. And I don't think black men saw it from their fathers. And they also didn't necessarily and don't necessarily see it from their peers around them. So they don't also feel kind of that social influence to do those things, especially for black men in major cities like a New York.
Okay, it's funny because it's just black men that aren't really seeing it from their fathers. Because black women just have a bunch of married mothers that they learn from, right? Because black women have married mothers that are teaching black daughters to become married too, that are teaching black daughters to become fit, feminine, and friendly, that are teaching black daughters to compromise and work with their mate, how to find a proper mate and sustain a relationship with, like, they're just saturated with it. Ever notice how even though black men and black boys are raised together, for the most part we are, all the negative aspects of black raising, according to women like this, seem to just happen to the boys? Ever notice that? So let's just say you have twins, Tanika and Tony, and they're raised by a black single mother. And then one day Tanika says to the world, yeah, the reason why Tony is skittish about dating and getting married, is because he watched my mom treat our sperm donor, the baby daddy, the person who's not in the house, like crap, and he don't want to be taken advantage of that way, which is a logical conclusion. But Tony would never say, the reason why she's miserable is because she don't really see marriage as a likely goal. The only thing she can hope for is a baby daddy that puts up with her crap.
LA, Chicago, Miami, maybe even Houston. Maybe in the South it might be a bit different. But yeah, there's more I can say on this, and I've been doing a lot of research. I'm actually going to write an article about it, just the differences and nuances between being a black woman dating versus like my white contemporaries and their dating experiences. But yeah, the one factor that it boils down to is money. And if you don't have it, you're not able to progress forward in dating.
I genuinely
Okay.
want to know why black men make dating so difficult. They make it.
Hi, I have an answer. And it's
Everybody
simply because they
dates
don't have
without
money.
money. This is just her way to try to find some type of way to put it on black men.
So I've been thinking
Hold on.
about this a lot as it relates to my personal dating.
This is just her way of trying to put it on black men. Oh, it's because they don't have money. So they are the problem. But we're going to get into how it is not they, it is you. And I'm not talking about the plurality of black women. I'm talking about it is individually this chick here. Hit the like button. It is individually this chick here that is the problem. Play a little bit of this one more time, and then I'll go into what's actually the problem.
Personal dating life, a lot of my friends who are black women who are in their late 20s, early 30s, who have been struggling with dating, who prefer to date black men, and have been doing it in comparison to my white peers and some peers outside of like other races, but specifically my white peers, as to why we all went to similar schools. We all went to similar schools. We all have similar educational backgrounds. We all work similar jobs. For bar, we would say we would live very similar lives, except I just oscillate in.
Y'all do not live very similar lives. We went to similar schools. We went to similar jobs, and we live. That is not a similar life. That's not by a long shot. Just like in men, an attractive man, who with the same educational background and the same occupation lives a vastly different life than an unattractive man. And I'm not talking about just looks, I'm talking about like personality and all sorts of other things. It is far, far different. Y'all leave far, far different lives. For one, she's married. I mean, in that aspect, she's not even your peer. The straw white woman that you're talking about, she married at 27, 28 years old. Yeah, so she's not your peer. I mean, y'all do not live, married people and single people live vastly different lives. Well, we have the same occupation, yes. And after that occupation, she goes home to a husband and her children, and you go home to what looks like a dorm room with a bunch of purses hanging off doorknobs. If y'all live very similar lives, she would be on TikTok with a headscarf on right now. Y'all do not live similar lives. Y'all aren't even friends. And that's not a coincidence. Quite frankly, I mean, as much as you try to exude this, um, token type vibe, the truth of the matter is they see, like, when do you see a group of white girls walk around with a black chick with a scarf on her head? No, you live wildly different lives. And it's actually due to those differences why her outcomes is wildly different. You would know this if you ever actually spent time with them.
Primarily black spaces and they oscillate in primarily white spaces. Um, with that said, I think it's because white people, but specifically white also men, are raised in the way that they have generational wealth, but a generational wealth mindset, meaning.
Okay. We just talked about how, and I'm gonna stop it right here so I can go to the next part because these TikToks of the days are supposed to be short. I'm gonna just go to the next part. But we talked about where white dudes aren't in proportionally high numbers. And that is in tech. And I don't know about Goldman Sachs. I mean, that's one company. So I guess they're there in a higher percentage. I'm not sure. Don't really care because that's really one company and it doesn't really encompass the race. But I will say what does encompass a large portion of the white race, and that is the military. That is the military. They're disproportionately highly represented in the military. And things like construction and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, all of these, they're all just, either 90s or early 2000s tech bros or 80s, Wall Street guys. Now, if you actually had these female white friends, which you don't, but if you actually had them, you could walk up and ask them, where does your husband work? What kind of work do your husband do in his late 20s? And I don't know what he'll say, but I will say that he won't work at Goldman Sachs. Y'all ever notice like a regular white guy almost always seem to be married? I was just at the tire, get my tires rotated yesterday. It was an overweight white woman at the counter who took my order, but the guy who actually did the rotation, white guy, wedding ring. If you don't believe me, like just check, just take a look at your mailman. Take a look at your cable installer. Actually, they make some money too. But take a look at the white guys who are in occupations that black women will call broke. And in this particular black woman would say he's too broke to date and see if he's married, or at least in a relationship leading to be married. We're gonna read some. I'm gonna read some of their comments, and I'm gonna read some of your comments, and then I'm going to go to the next video of hers. The way I screamed at they don't have money. You see, they need to say stuff like this. They need to put it on black men, or else they have to look at themselves, and they don't want to do that. I had to change my dating preferences. I can't do struggle love. You know, you could have just expanded your dating preferences. Instead of just putting, I guess, clicking black, you could have also clicked black, white, Asian, Latino. But you just want to be spiteful. No money and no real personality, but anger. You should really ask why and then look to yourself for the answer. But we're going to get into that. A lot of them are focused on fast hustle mindset and showing to their friends instead of focusing on long-term career goals and investments. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Okay. So a lot of anybody is anything when you're dealing in populations of millions. A lot of Asians are tall by that same logic. But that's no longer really the plurality of the black man stereotype. They take the worst of past stereotypes and try to apply it to the present. All right, moving on. That, and because they are only doing it for their benefit, they don't care to get to know you. That's what courting is intended for. Do you try to get to know them? I'm gonna be honest. I don't really think it's much of you to know. Y'all really don't have different personalities. I mean, y'all all are here saying the same thing. To be honest, and this is something that a lot of black men can say when dating black women, y'all not really different. We pretty much know you within the first 10 minutes. You're going to say the same thing that the last 10 black women said and that the last 10 black women who commented here said. Y'all read from the same playbook. Y'all have the same personality. White women are different. Some of them have like a bubbly cheerleader personality. Some of them have like a businesswoman persona. Some of them have like they're into goth, or some of them are into BDSM. Some of them are like tennis pros. Some of them have aspirations of being soccer moms. Like there is a wide range of interests and desires amongst them. Black women, not so much. If one of you want to be a boss bee, then all of you want to be a boss bee. If one of you want to be strong and independent, then all of you want to be strong and independent. It is not much going on. It is not much different. It's not much to discover. There isn't much going on with y'all. All right. I stopped dating them and life is much easier. Who are you dating? We're going to get into this, but I guess the question would be, who are you dating? They also hate college/schools, which help you make money and status in society. So they stay behind their counterparts who do value college/trade. Black men value trade. Black men value trade. You see, Black men, just like all men, value, not the appearance of value, which is what college offers most of its graduates, especially Black women. Graduating with degrees in nothing, but they just have the prestige of saying that they have degrees. That means nothing. If a Black man, found a job early on that says, listen, we will pay you this amount for your physical labor, which is more than you would get after you graduate college, then they're going to take it. Black women, not so much. All right. I think something that isn't mentioned is that dating is the only realm where they feel powerful and can exert dominance over someone. Not dating Black women. So, I mean, that is true for a lot of men. But, I mean, not dating Black women. So, there you go. All right. To be fair, this is about dating. This is about Black dating in America. And I think this is applicable for all men, but I understand it. Yeah. It's amazing that the sentiment behind that comment is dating is the only way a Black man feels powerful. So let me take that away from him. Who would want to deal with a woman like that? This is such a great take that isn't meant to harm, but inform. No, it's meant to harm, but we're going to get into that. Okay, I'm going to do two more of these. And when they see you as a woman financially thriving, it makes dating them even harder. You're not financially thriving. I know you like to appear as if you are, but you're not. Women like Sammy here live for the day where they can say, I'm broke, you're not. They live for that day. That day never comes. Well, I mean, it comes, but it comes in the same way that it comes for everybody. And that is if you are a below average earner and you are simply looking for somebody who's below you. It's kind of like if you are a shift supervisor at Burger King and you kick down on the Burger King employees, on the 16-year-old Burger King employees. By the way, I used to work at Burger King. So, yeah, it is that mentality. Like, oh, yeah, I'm stunting because I'm a shift supervisor. It's that mentality. This Sammy person should really ask how come she don't have access to the Black men that make more than her. Because they do. And there's a number of them that do. And they don't necessarily age out of playing games. True. That is true. And that's because y'all have nothing else. Because of the unwillingness to submit and work in cooperation with your mate and a family and marriage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All that's left is your box and the game that you place around getting it. That's really all you have. And don't ask me, ask the game dudes. Like that's what they're after. That's all you have. I mean, you know, if y'all offered something else, we'd want it. If y'all who wouldn't want more than what's being offered, but that's all you offer. When you talk about marriage, you talk about what you want from the man, not what you offer him. Which, in a very real way, is the game that you're playing. All right, so gonna stop right there for a second, and then I'm gonna read your comments, and then we'll move on to the next clip. All right. Jojo says, I work in techs. Most are Asian, then white, low skilled, high paying jobs. Being Black in the field, you're often the only one, or one of very few. Absolutely. So my statement earlier wasn't that black men are overrepresented in tech. It was that white men are underrepresented in tech. She's talking about, how she runs into a white guy and he works in tech or Goldman Sachs. I am going to say that statistically, that's not true. That's not true. If you talk to 100 white guys, then maybe 25 of them work in tech. And maybe 12 of them work on the technology itself. Just saying. If only they gave up coochie to Urkels, it would fix neighborhoods and create generational wealth. Explain how. Okay. What's up? What's going on, Ray? She needs to ask herself, why don't those men have fathers in the first place? Good question. Chicken or the egg convo, but it all starts with quiches and delusions. Well, it starts prior to the modern version of what we call quiche. It start because the parents are not quiche. Quiche is a relatively modern term. But generations ago, black women who did have fathers in the 80s, the ones who grew up, in the 60s or what have you, decided to do something different than what their mothers and fathers did. This is what women's liberation is. They decided, like, something, instead of for continuing with the tradition that my mother had, our grandmothers and great grandmothers, instead of for doing that, I'm going to divorce my mate, take half of them. Oh, and this, grandma family heirloom that she was talking about. And I am going to um, be a single woman because I don't need a man. Or I'm going to be on welfare because I don't need a man. You see, they broke with tradition. Other groups of women didn't, not to the same magnitude. Computer geek salute. Let's see. Money. Every black woman I dated has a bad relationship with money. Think of only grifting my wallet. This is true, but not looking for a future to build with. This is true. This is the lie that they like to tell society, that we all want love, marriage, and baby carriage, but really they want to play the game too. Just like the men are playing a game of how much box I can get without putting money in it, the women are playing a game of how much money can I get without giving up the box. And they play that game. I mean, I guess every woman play it, but they play it in an extraordinarily longer period of time. They have this Fox Valley girl voice and believe they grew up in those households. Yeah, it's like, oh yes, we're the same. It's like, no, you are culturally entirely different, and it's because of those differences in culture is why she's not having the problems that you're complaining about. Bum says, what's the okay? So I'm pretty sure by now you know what it is. Okay. You make a lot of generalizations. You did not see the comment section because we can go over generalizations there. I mean, we're making a lot of generalizations. Okay, it says that would mean all black guys YNs. Well, no one says all, but yeah, no one says all. Yet we have more degrees than black men. Yeah, that's my point. Ever notice how the people with the most degrees have the least money? That should really tell you something about the value of degrees. It should really tell you something. Okay, if I was to say that the people that eat the most cupcakes have the highest diabetes, then that would tell you something about eating cupcakes. There is a correlation. Oh, and by the way, every group of women have more degrees than their men. All right. It says black men in general don't value education. Well, we don't value anything that doesn't have value. Society in general don't value education. It has become a saturated market, and it has been for quite some time. Black women have options. Black men aren't the only men. Well, everyone has options, and women have more options than men. Yes. Black men have the least options of all women. Yes. What's your point? All right. They are sick and lack accountability. It's crazy. Agreed. Black men can't leave us alone. They always talking about us. Well, I'm talking about somebody. It's funny because I'm a black man who's talking about a black woman who's talking about black men. And a black woman's response is they're always talking about us. Well, she's talking about us. It's amazing. Your inability to see irony is really, really amazing. It's like you have an irony deficiency or something. Here we have a clear case of a black woman talking about black men, a black man responding to it, and your response is black men can't leave us alone. Well, this video is going to do a lot fewer views from black men than her comments are from black women. Food for thought. And I know how much y'all love food. Black men are obsessed with us, if you ask me. I think all men are obsessed with women, the heterosexual ones, that is. So, yeah, okay. Anyway, it says, black women, oh, thank you for the super chat, by the way. ASMRQ says, black women never seem to understand that you can't have generational wealth with a bunch of single moms and broken homes all over the place. Absolutely. And that's why I brought up the wedding ring analogy when she's talking about the family heirloom that that passed down from like grandma to grandma to grandma, or excuse me, grandma to granddaughter to grandma to daughter to daughter to daughter. And apparently, for whatever reason, in the white community, they pass it to their son to give to whomever they choose to marry. But, you know, nevertheless, it doesn't really work like that in a population where it's a 50% chance of divorce. And of course, there's a high percentage chance that she'll keep your grandma's ring just out of spite. The same reason why she keeps your dog and let it starve. Like, there is a chance. It's not really possible to pass something down like that. Listen, say you have something. Let's just say Sanford and Sons, you know, junkyard or something like that. How many generations will it be before that is lost in the divorce? You marry a woman who really don't know anything about junk. Hell, I don't know anything about junk, but you know, this tradition, this value that has been passed down for so long, it's gone because she decided to divorce you and take all your junk, literally. And then the next generation, she complained, well, how come your father didn't give you anything? Because he lost it in the divorce. And that goes with any type of black business. I mean, you need generations to pass down something. You need families to pass down something. GC, you're obsessed with black women every night. All right. Let's see. The most bald and overweight demographic of women. Yeah, absolutely. Black women are the only race of women with men have longer hair. Yes, this is true. This is true. I mean, you know, we have Snoop Dogg, y'all have Amber Rose. And you know, that's not like that's not like an uncommon phenomenon. I do see brothers with longer dreads. Shout out to Danica Marie's husband, Eric. Then the women have hair, even though Danica has long hair. So yes, that is an unfortunate truth. You can tell they don't interact with whites. They believe all white guys have some yachts and trust funds when most, are doing blue collar jobs. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what she's trying to do, I don't know if she knows this or not, but if she does, then what she's just trying to do is trying to create a ridiculous bar and saying that you don't meet up to it. Understand this: the goal of the sisterhood is to humble Black men. I'm going to repeat: the goal of the sisterhood is to humble Black men. One more time: the goal of the sisterhood is to humble Black men. King Pigs, that's fine. Y'all still talk about us. Okay. If a group of women are so hard up for attention that they take online critiques as a sense of being valued, then it shows how undervalued you are. It really does. If a restaurant's only customers are people going in to give bad Yelp reviews, then that is a crappy restaurant. It really is. And if the restaurant owner was to say, oh, yeah, they really thinking about me, you just got to slap your forehead and, like, okay, your food is crap. Do better. All right. It says Black women are the only race, let's see, that date off of penis size. I don't know if they do. No other race does that. Asians supposed to have the smallest, and their culture is thriving. Shaking my head. Historically speaking, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying that it grew in the last generation, but Black women aren't dating off anything. If anything, they're dating to try to feel like white women. Black men on the internet ain't like Black men in real life. No one on the internet is like people in real life. That's why it's the internet. People on TV aren't like people in real life. What the hell? All right. It says salute. Black women are the only race of women that date as if they're men. As oh, that's the right there. I thought you were saying as if THEIR, but no, you're saying THER as if they are men, and that's why they fail. They don't date at all, and we're going to get into that. See, men have a sexual drive that makes them far less likely to just say, F it, I'm out. Women don't, and lack of sexual availability. Women don't have that. So Black women are actually like more prone to not date at all. Black women are on pace to make more than Black men. Okay. Is that a flex? I don't know. You're always comparing never you always comparing yourself to Pookie and them. Yeah, that is true. Your content is Black women based. It's Black relationship based. And you can't really have one without the other, now can you? Black women have the lowest median income and the lowest net worth. All demographics. What the hell are you talking about? Well, it's wishful thinking. I mean, it's kind of like a person in a race full of 8 people. The person in last place, catching up to the seventh to the person in second to last place, saying, "Yeah, I'm faster than you," and then just really just doing too much while you have an aluminum medal. It's kind of like that. All right, y'all talking back and forth to each other. I think we got the gist of what's going on in the chat room. All right, now, so somebody asked a question: Why is dating Black men so hard? Her answer was that Black men don't have money. Now, we're going to go back into history, and we are going to see what some of her posts say, and then we're going to get the real reason why dating is so hard. She says it's because Black men don't have money. Let's see what it is. Let's see what the real is and give y'all a chance to hit that like button.
My 1 year anniversary of taking a unintentional but very much so needed break from dating. So yes, I am 30 years old and I have not been on a date in a year.
And there's your answer right there. First 15 seconds. I wonder why white women marry at 28. Why do they get married at 27, 28 years old? While we just, we just find ourselves single into perpetuity. Why do they get married at 28? Well, it's because they don't take years off of dating. Oh, it's because black men are broke. Well, is that why you took a year off of dating? Is that why, sweetie? The reason why y'all find yourselves unmarried because y'all don't date. That's like a unemployed black man saying, I wonder why getting a job is so hard. I just took a year off of having interviews. You see the foolishness that is going on here. You see the disconnect from reality that is going on here. Now, I'm assuming because she's 30, in fact, I know that because she's 30, that this happened after she did her last video where she's saying that, black men are difficult to date because they're broke. Maybe it's difficult dating black women because black women don't date. Maybe that's it. Y'all take random years off and wonder why it took longer. Okay, that's like taking random years off to graduate and then saying, hey, how come I don't graduate in 4 years? How come all these other people are graduating at 22, graduating college at 22, but I graduated at 66 or at 26? Because you took 4 gap years? Oh yeah, well, the thing is I had to find myself. Well, let's see why she took a gap year. Oh, by the way, she's a peer with white women, right? Because that's what white women do. They take a year off dating. That's her peer group, right? Let's listen to this foolishness.
So the date that I went on exactly almost a year ago is actually the date that gave me my complete confidence back because during the date, actually the day after the date, I realized how much I did not like this man. I realized how much we are not compatible.
And you wonder why it's difficult dating black men. Basically, you dated a guy that you didn't like. You wasted his time and money, but you left with a greater sense of confidence. And we're the one playing games. You wasted his time and money, but you went on there with intentions on feeling confident afterwards. The whole purpose of doing that was so you can feel confident. And you see why it's difficult dating you? And then you took that confidence to not date for a year. What? It's almost like you don't know what confidence means. Say if and I have struggled with this in junior high and parts of high school, I didn't feel confident on the dance floor. And then I was to say, yes, so, my last dance, which happened about a year ago, gave me the confidence I needed to not dance. That's not how confidence works. When you have confidence, you are confident to do the thing that you are doing. That so weird. So freaking weird.
And I realized I was dating him just to say I was going out there and dating people. And
And so you wasted his time. I was dating him to say I. Who wants to deal with that crap? Fellas, that's what you're getting your hair cut and your car wash for. Just for a broad like this to say I'm dating people. See how much she respects and values your time, brothers?
not because I was dating with intention and not because I really actually liked him. And the way that he was treating me on the date, while he was fine and he was like a nice boy, wasn't the
So we know the race of the person that she's talking about because she just called him a boy. That's the type of disrespect that you get. Dating this woman, you're really dating somebody who says, you're a nice boy. As a grown man, you're a nice boy. And you're fine. And then she's going to say, but. Because being nice and fine isn't good enough. But you're wondering why white women marry before you. Maybe they just married somebody who's nice and fine. Unlike you.
way that I want to be treated. It felt like I was like pulling teeth with him, and I realized something. I'm way too good for this. Like, I literally woke up the next day after the date and I was just like, I'm way too good with it for this.
I'm way too good for this guy. So I am not going to date for a year and counting. Y'all see the madness that is going on with these broads? Imagine a 16-year-old being offered a job at Baskin and Robbins. And then after a day of working at Baskin and Robbins, they say, I'm way too good for this job. And then not work any other job for a year. Okay, well, if you're too good for that guy, where is the guy that's good enough for you? Apparently, this is the best guy that you qualified for in a year.
Way too good for this experience. I know I'm way too good for him. So I completely ended things with him. And that gave me my confidence back. And my confidence had.
See, Black women gain confidence by diminishing Black men's confidence.
Been shot over the last like 2 years after going through a layoff and then also dealing with like my first adult heartbreak. I was in a disarray. Sorry to my friends who saw that. I'm so fine now. But yeah.
Okay. So she's 30 and she was laid off, which means that she probably is just around now starting to climb a corporate ladder again. She's at the bottom of her corporate ladder. She's not going to take dating or anything seriously until she reaches a certain level on the corporate ladder, and she isn't even close to that. And that's why they marry young and you marry not so young, if at all.
I think I'm really struggling with the idea of dating again, even though it is something that crosses my mind. But I'm just so much happier in this little world that I've created, decentering men. And I'm not necessarily sure if I want to go back to centering men or just involving men in my life, because I would never want.
Okay, that's fine. But you're not centering men and you're not involving men in your life, which means that the trouble in Black dating are with dating black men is because you are not dating. It's not because of anything else. It's because you are not dating. And when you are dating, you're not dating seriously. And then there's this whole, oh, my heart was broken. Okay. Get that dirt off your shoulders. Grow up. People get their heart broken. They don't take a year. They don't take like a year to recoup. And really, you was recouping before that. They don't take years to recoup. If so, that crap is on you. People get their heart broken all the time. It falls under the minor setback category.
I never want to get back to a place where I feel like a man has so much power over me that I lose.
And that's what it's about. That's what it comes down to with all black women. They refuse to give up power in relationships. Everything they do, and that's why they want to humble black men so much. They refuse to give up power in relationships. Oh, and by the way, when you are humble, they'll say, he's a nice boy, he's a nice guy, but you're just not feeling him. And that's why you wind up dating nobody. You humble the men with confidence, and you ignore the humble men. And that's why you find yourself, going a year and counting without being on a date. It's not the problem with the men.
Lose my confidence. Yeah.
All right.
That's just where I'm at.
You have the confidence to not date. You're stupid. All right. Somebody said something interesting. Why do you need power? Power is the ability to affect change. The reason why men need power is to create healthy families and, by extension, healthy communities. What power y'all have? The power to leave your ass. Hold on one moment. Okay, I'm back. Yeah. So that's the power we have. Anyway, let's see if there's any comments on this one. Oh, there's two. It's amazing how they'll have like these one viral videos and it be the most male bashing ones, but when they have like regular stuff to say, it's like, it has much, much fewer results. Here. All right. It says, I'm very happy and I'm not eager to get back out there in a dating scene. Okay. So if you want to waste time, then don't complain when others who didn't waste time accomplished their goals sooner than you. It's just common sense. I stopped dating at 30, now 33. You haven't dated for 30 years, for 3 years, excuse me. I don't miss it at all. Yeah, I bet. Okay. The best thing about life is you can change it at any time. Everybody has the option to do something stupid. Sam, I used to love dating. Now it feels like such a burden. It is a burden. It's a difficult thing to do. That's why it's not meant to be done indefinitely. But notice how she's still doing it. She didn't like take a 3-year gap because she's not a freaking idiot. She understands that sometimes if you want something, it's going to mean you do things that you don't like or you find frustrating or redundant. It feels like such a chore, and the apps completely have given me the ick. I think I'll try again after the summer. Holy crap. Okay. Oh, there's a reply here. Let's see. I oddly don't miss it. It's not supposed to be a good thing. It's like being out of work talking about I hate interviews. The main reason is because dating apps felt so unnatural to me. I was forcing connection where there was none. Okay. Um, yeah. It's funny. You know what's interesting? That she mentions the apps twice. She mentions the apps twice. A lot of people, both men and women, reduce their entire dating, mating, relating pool to the apps. I don't know why that is. It's not an effective way to date, but I guess they're addicted to the convenience. I don't know, but that is something that I notice. All right, one more clip or whatever, if I could find it, and then we will call it quits. All right. Oh, apparently she just turned 31. So let's see if I can find it. Okay, I mean, if I can't find it, then um, it's not that big. Oh, here it is. This one got less than 1,000. So she had that one viral video. She's a one hit wonder, but let's take a look here.
Video for Black women content creators. If you are a Black woman who makes content on this app, please listen and please amplify this. Do yourself a favor and go type in your username on YouTube. Even if you don't make YouTube content, do yourself a favor and go type in your TikTok handle on YouTube. I typed in my TikTok handle on YouTube, not because I was looking for myself, but because I wanted to see if it was claimed. And I found a litany of incel red pill black men podcasts that were taking my videos. Mind you, I have my downloads turned off for a reason, that screen record our videos and they use it as talking points for red pill content. So if you make content pertaining to be a black woman in dating, black woman navigating like relationships and love and dating or anything like that, I can assure you, your video might be on this man's page.
And mine's, because we like covering you, telling yourselves. You don't have the ability to psychoanalyze yourself. We do. And we give our analysis because it's fun. You see, I want y'all to think of lions or tigers or any other species that you'll see in National Geographic. It's like them saying, you know, humans really like to cover us. Well, yes, we do. We find your behavior and lifestyle interesting. And because humans know more about lion culture than lions know about human culture, we give a outside perspective. We have a broader perspective than you.
Age or any of the other red pill pages that are on YouTube and do yourself a favor and go find it and look at the comments. It's crazy over there. So here's an example. This is just one of the pages that I found. There are others, but he has like all of them where he takes our videos, screen records them, and he gives his like red pill commentary, hot takes on the things that we say, and it's actually insane. And if you look at the comment section, it's actually insane. But unfortunately, I don't think we have the ability to get these videos taken down because we did put them in the public domain. But I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention because I do think that we can control our digital footprint and what we're putting out there, but once it's out there, we can't really control that narrative. And I do think that you should have insight on how your videos, your likeness are being used for other people. There are so many content creators who I follow who are some of my mutuals who are on his page. I'm sure you probably already know, but I just really wanted to bring it to y'all's attention. Like, am I the most mad in the world? No, not particularly, but do I think it's insane? Yeah, it's like actually insane. And I'm going to tag a couple people in the comments below because I've seen their videos all over this man's page and also on other, like, again, red pill incel YouTube videos. And it's ironically like,
It's interesting that they use red pill and incel as if the two things are synonymous, which would mean that there would be a eager population out there for you if they're incels, right? Yet you haven't been on a date in a year. Now you're not an incel, of course, but that is interesting.
like 99% black women and like talking about our frustrations in dating or we want out of dating and like they're just using.
So they're the incels, but they're talking about your frustrations. Interesting. But you're the one who's frustrating in dating. Interesting. Okay.
It for like content without our permission. It's very odd. It's very odd. I'm making this.
Okay. So yeah, that was a quick one. Let's read your comments before we head out. Or actually, let's read their comments. Hold on. Even these videos are being made by the women. We can give a disclaimer of copyright. Okay, fair use. YouTube will respect that if you press the issue. Let's see. You can also make mock documents of yield for the red pill guys jacking your content. Good luck with that. Okay. It says, sadly, it falls under fair use. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's just something that you put out there. Clause, because they are adding significant amount of commentary. Yes, I do. More than significant. And not using my full videos and acting as if it's their original idea. Well, the original content is, like, the commentary is my original idea. So there you have it. Only thing left is if the content creating is a lifestyle or a serious thing, make it a business, and apply those copyrights. If not, that just roll with the punches. Yeah, you're going to have to. All right. So that is it, Shig. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that like button and start from the beginning. This is going to be a shorter video. I'm going to read your comments and I'm going to close out. All right. So baby, single people are the happiest people in America. I would assume that it's billionaires' babies. Yeah, okay, but tell yourself that, I guess. Um, Bookie talking, yeah, okay. While single men are the loneliest, I would assume that both parties is lonely, but okay. Or at least as lonely as they want to be, but that's a whole nother video. So insult to make a point. You're on video. Okay, let's see. My theory is men are not wired to be alone. Holy crap. Okay. When trying to understand the behavior of adults, we first look at the behavior of children. And when you look at how they play and stuff like that, um, boys do seem far more content with machines, non interactive machines. For example, my sister spent an enormous amount of time on the phone, an enormous amount of time on the phone, where I spent an abnormal amount of time on video games. Now, I was happy with that video game system, which means that this is what this means. If something happened and we were the only two people in the world, I would continue to play video games and not feel alone. She would have nobody to talk to on the phone and feel alone. All right, let's see. What's next? The need for men to procreate makes them unable to be alone. Both parties have a need to procreate, sweetie. How you figure if a woman's always complaining about having a biological clock? No, what they're doing is they're suppressing their need to procreate to suppress and leverage men for their need to procreate. You see, this is the type of games you have to deal with it with this particular cohort of women. It's basically like two people holding their breath and like who's going to breathe first. So they're saying, I'm not going to procreate, unless you give me a bag. And they're hoping that, you blink first or something like that. But it's ridiculous. The demands are ridiculous. You couldn't do it even if you did surrender to the need to procreate. Is what it is. But anyway, procreation with a woman who would leverage procreation would mean that you are dealing with a bitch of a human being who will not be a proper mother to that child because she only gave birth to that child, not because of her own desire to have children, which she suppressed. She gave birth to that child as a tool to leverage her mate, meaning that she would be a poor mother. All right. The birth rate is down bad. Nobody wants kids. Okay. Can't get mad if you put your content out there for mass consumption. Should have never did the video and put it on private. Well, they have to do that in order to spread the rhetoric. You see, they're in a conundrum, and that is if they make their intentions public, then yes, they could get more members to the sisterhood. However, they open themselves up for ridicule. Their secrets are out there. The sisterhood secrets are out there. If they make it private, then they won't be able to spread their ridiculous foolishness. Meanwhile, they have the highest incidence of mental health disorders, suicide attempts, mental medication. Yeah, okay, I don't know. I'll leave that one alone. A lot of these ninjas doing these red pill contents for clout. Sorry. Maybe. I mean, I think clout is a means, not an end. A person would build clout as a means to do other things. And if that means is to spread the red pill message, then why not? I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. Why would I ruin my body for youth? Body and youth for some man's bastard child? Well, I mean, you ruin your body for Hostess cupcakes. And your youth is waning no matter what. All of ours is. And the fact that, you don't look at it as your child, you look at it as somebody else's child, really tells what type of mother you'll be. Really does. any person who can take a being out of their body and say that this is somebody else's bastards is going to be a hell of a mom. Coach Ali Corner would agree. She's full of shit, linking black men trying to be triggering. You're right. Okay, well. Let's see. I'm sure single moms are elated to be by themselves. Some are. Let's see. Coach is dumb because I'm a mod on Bronze channel. Okay. You're proud of being a mod. Okay. With this back and forth, let me see if I could get something pertaining to the topic at hand. Stop being in denial. Only want one child, a son, so I can raise a real man. Yeah, that's what they do. They try to indoctrinate their son with their foolishness. And really, and y'all seen this from yesterday's video, season 1, episode 1 of TikToxic, or examining TikToxic, where she just decided to nerf her son, basically raise him in humility, which means that Bum plans on being a single mom because, he's going to raise, because a father would raise his son to think for himself and be his own man, not the mother's ideal of a man. With a sisterhood loser, okay, back and forth again. 75 black, okay, call it what you want. All right, it says, this is one of the most awful things I heard a woman say. Oh, stay tuned. It gets worse. All right. Everyone want to be black. What else is new? Not everyone. I mean, not the ones that are worth a damn. At least not the women that are worth a damn. But yeah. I mean, the only women that want to do that, want to be a black woman, is the women who have a desire to treat men like crap and still be treated like a queen. Sad but true. All right, and this one is a part of the back and forth, so I'm not going to participate in this. Want to thank everybody, Cash App and Super Chats, managers and moderators, those who are listening silently and those who participate in the chat. Hit the like button on your way out. This is GameChanger 00100. Game over. Peace.